Big news, Notre Dame fans. The Fighting Irish have gone into LSU's backyard and landed a huge commitment from Jaden Ausberry, a Under Armour All-American linebacker in the 2023 class. Highly ranked player on three consensus as them as the number 117 player nationally, is in the number 10 linebacker. His rankings go all the way from top 40 player to round 220, where on three's own rankings have him. So we'll talk about him in his film, what Notre Dame's getting in this recruit, and as well as the recruiting win is what I'm most excited to talk about, to be honest with you guys. But make sure you guys hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to our channel if you have not yet, and go to blueandgold.com. $1 for 1 year of premium access, all the recruiting scoop, all the coverage, all fall camp, and more. So, Tim, your first reaction of Notre Dame landing this big time player is what?
Big time instincts. I mean, you mentioned big time player. His instincts are unbelievable. When I say like in the box, diagnosing plays, reading plays, he's quick as a cat inside, is an inside linebacker. So I like him. I mean, he is physical, plays with no fear, unbelievable. The way he reads. I've watched a bunch. His junior film is just games, tons of games online. People could go out there and watch it. I mean, the guy he knows how to play football. And, we'll talk about his size. He's not the biggest guy. He's listed about 6 foot, 6.5, maybe not even 6'1". But man, he packs a punch. He plays like he's 6'4", 255. He'll knock the living heck out of you. So I love him, you start looking at some old Notre Dame guys. First guy I thought about is guy who was his size when he came to Notre Dame way back in 1986. Another guy out of the Bayou there, Mike Stonebreaker. Some of the old guys will remember him, but no, I like him. I think Jaiden Ausberry, heck of a football player. Look at the speed he plays with. Ooh.
Yeah. So as we're looking at film, he doesn't have like a junior highlight tape, so it's just like game by game. Yeah. So I'm kind of trying to help spotlight him here. He's a number 20 inside backer.
Display that. Just watch find the fastest guy on the field, and it's going to be him. His speed is relentless.
Yeah, explosion. Comes from a great football family. His father, Verge Osberry, played for LSU and is currently he's in the athletic department for the Tigers. And his brother, and now we're going to play sophomore tape, which got 5 minutes of. So Notre Dame offered him, right after the summer before his junior season, I should say. Yep. And then, like I was saying, his older brother, Austin, was a class of 2022 cornerback recruit who signed with Auburn. So Baton Rouge University Lab is the school that Osberry is from. I mean, I've never been to LSU, but just looking at Google Maps, like University Lab quite literally is on LSU's campus. Like there's a few high schools that like are kind of on a college campus, like the University of Liberty in Lynchburg. There's Lynchburg Christian Academy is basically like on Liberty's campus. So there's high schools like that. This is one of them. Kid's literally at LSU legacy and goes to high school like at LSU. And Notre Dame goes and wins this recruitment. Yeah, Tim, it's gotta be it's a good film. But let's get on that in a minute. Let's talk about that. But him and the fit in this defense. I mean, if he is just this like highly athletic, maybe undersized linebacker, I mean, would you see him playing a rover, or do you think that Notre Dame would bulk him up a little bit and have him as a will, or maybe a Mike? What do you think?
Just watch. I mean, this is sophomore film, but it's like he's so fast and just plays such violence. And that's the thing. People will think, with his size, he's a rover. No, me personally, I think he's a micro will. I mean, Mike, obviously, I'm just inside the box guy. He's so physical, and just his ability to read guards, read backs, and just the way he pops on blitzes. Man, I would want that guy in the box. And it's almost like, Notre Dame's been stockpiling some of these guys, obviously, with Prince Colley and, the guys last year with Tuihalamaka, Snead, Ziegler, Burnham, who've already moved outside, but they could easily move him back inside if need be. And then you go with Drake Bowen, Osberry, Preston Zinter, who is just an athlete, a guy who could play at multiple spots. I like him inside because that rover spot. I mean, what's the first thing you do when you go nickel? You take out the rover. And I think a guy like Osberry is the guy you want on the field. So, Notre Dame's has a history of a lot of 6'6" 6'1" linebackers. The most famous one, Kenan Tatum, who was a stud in the mid 90s. Mike Goolsby played with Brandon Hoyt, who was only 6 foot. There's been a handful of those guys. And obviously you talk about Stonebreaker in the 80s, 2-time All-American, was only 6'1". But I like him inside just because of his just pure physical, the way he just plays football. I mean, seriously, he's nice. Look at this. The closing speed is relentless. He's an SEC guy, and this would be Colley, Snead, Osberry, getting 3 guys right out of the heart of SEC country right there.
3 straight classes. And now let's go to that recruiting win that I'm so excited to talk about because let's talk about the LSU connections, but going in beating like Brian Kelly for this recruit, that's got to feel good for the Irish. Marcus Freeman, has been doing such a phenomenal job on the recruiting trail. And Brian Kelly couldn't get him into his family, or family. I can't remember his pronunciation, but yeah. Tim, what are your thoughts on this recruiting win?
Yeah, I can't say that. Every time I hear that, every time you say that word now, I'm like stuck forever because you love saying that. But no, it's a big win. I mean, once you're going into basically LSU's campus, so which is just fascinating. But at the same time, his brother went to Auburn. It sounds like, it's a family that doesn't mind looking to leave. And there's a video just for, everyone out there, Google Osberry and Google Al Washington on YouTube. There is an amazing clinic tape where Al Washington is about 15 minutes or so when he was at the Ohio State camp a year ago. Great. So obviously they had a big relationship going back when he was a Buckeye. And there's some really good video. You just see Washington putting him through tons of drills, coaching him up. And I watched it about 6 months ago when, when Washington got hired, or however months it's been. But, that's always stuck with me. Like, what a great coach, great recruiter, going down into New Orleans or Baton Rouge and getting a guy like him, trying to get him to Ohio State. So, great relationships. It sounds like that they've really built, but yeah, it's a biggie, man. You go down into LSU, Brian Kelly's all he talks about is tentacles all over that great state of Louisiana. And they're going down there on campus and pulling them out, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So Osberry, was pursued by his brother school, Auburn, LSU, obviously, Michigan. I mean, let's pull up this offer list. You got Ohio State, which I was told was the big favorite. And Al Washington, of course, was the linebackers coach for the Buckeyes, and they had a very tight relationship. Florida, Oregon, Bama, Tennessee, Florida State. I mean, it's an impressive group of schools that Osberry had after him. And, I mean, Notre Dame has such a linebacker-heavy staff right now with Marcus Freeman, your head coach, former linebackers coach, defense coordinator, obviously. Al Golden, the defensive coordinator, linebackers coach, and just coached the Bengals in the Super Bowl. You got James Laurinaitis. I mean, there's Al Washington, obviously, former linebackers coach who recruited Osberry. I mean, a lot of linebackers, at Notre Dame. And, you look at this linebacker class, you got Jaden Ausberry, you got Drake Bowen, top 100 player, and Preston Zinter, a 4-star recruit from Massachusetts. It's Notre Dame linebacker recruiting has been superb since Marcus Freeman got to Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, I mean these, and it's funny. Real quick on Bowen, it's like he seems like he committed like 2 years ago, but you go back and rewatch his film, it's like wow, because he's kind of dropped in some of these rankings. Because he's a national baseball guy. I didn't know he was that good in baseball. By the way, he's nationally ranked when it comes to baseball. So I'm going to be surprised if he's going to be a major league draftee someday. He's that good. So. He wasn't able to go to all these camps, but his film last year was outstanding. He's good. He is a legitimate top 50 national football player when it comes to linebackers. So I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and battles to get on that 2 deep, because real quick with this recruiting is these guys that can leave. Leah Falk can leave. He's a senior. Bauer's a grad, so he's going to go. Does Kaiser come back for a 5th year? He's a true senior. So they have a handful of guys. JD Bertrand's another senior. So you have 4 guys that could leave. So they have definitely gone out and just filled up this cupboard just in case a bunch of these young guys need to play right around 2023. And there's some good ones, man. There's some really good ones. I'm really curious to see what Zinter does, because his athleticism, that's another one that committed so long ago. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but athlete, tight end, played receiver, DN, Mike, Will, you name it. I think Notre Dame's going to find a home for him, and he's a physical football player. He's going to bring it when he comes to South Bend.
All right, there you have it, folks. Notre Dame landing a player out of LSU's backyard, 4-star linebacker and Under Armour All-American Jaiden Ausberry. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up on this video, and head to blueandgold.com for more Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. Appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time.